Good afternoon. I think the first thing, and maybe I can eliminate some of your questions, would be on Dan Enos. Uh, the first thing I want to say is Dan worked extremely hard. Um, was in the building all the time, put a lot of hours into it, um, and things of that nature. It just wasn't working, and so um, yesterday morning we decided to make a change there, or not a change, but go ahead and um, let Dan go. And then yesterday afternoon we had yesterday after that, briefly after that, I had a meeting with the offensive staff and called a lot of recruits. We're going to have Kenny Guiton move to quarterbacks, and he'll call the plays. And Derek Keefe will be the wide receiver coach. He obviously was in that system at Alabama, and so that would be that. I met with. I've been in meetings yesterday and today with the offensive staff. We're trying to eliminate some of the volume that we have offensively. Obviously, it was important that we stayed in house so we wouldn't have a lot of terminology and things. We got to give our kids a chance to win, and it just seems that nothing ever came easy for us this year, and we've got to do some things differently. And one of it is cut down the volume that we have, and so I've been meeting with those guys all morning on that, and we'll go from there.
Why do you think it didn't work? I mean, you talked about volume here just now, but what else played into it just not being a fit?
I think a lot of coaching has to do with enthusiasm, spirit, wanting to run through a wall for different people, and we just really never had that on the offensive side of the ball. If you look at it defensively, there's a lot of that there. I think you can get guys to play better than maybe even what their talents are if they believe in you. And to be honest with you, until this season, that has been I think, a positive about me, that, guys seem to want to play and those things of that nature. And they've got it going on defense, so I know it's possible to do. We have a lot of similar players that we've had in the past. It just never clicked, and it really never did. And so this is not a move for any other reason than it just wasn't working. And it's not a move to can the season. We've got a really good defense. If our offense can go out and function well, we still have games that we can win, and we need to. And so I can't really put a finger on it, except it was just rough. Our kids weren't as motivated, and that can go on me as well. Our kids weren't as motivated to play as what I have seen in the past. And I mean, you could tell the way we took the field on Saturday that it was like, and I can remember being on the headset going, what are we doing? I mean, it's almost like a bum, 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 as we're going out there. And we were in the game the entire game. It just didn't feel like it. And and I'll give Mississippi State had a great game plan and all that, but we didn't adjust. And so that would be the only thing. We've lost our spirit, and there's a lot to be said about that.
With Coach Guyton calling plays, he's obviously, worked under Kendall before and worked under Dan. Are we going to see kind of a mesh of those two thoughts, or maybe going back to some of the things that's worked for you guys in the past?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything that we haven't done this year more. I think we may do more of some things that we've done a few times. And then, you could see a faster pace and some things of that nature. But our volume is what we're cutting down so we can do something really well. And if you look in the past, we've been able to run the football from running these type plays and things of that nature. We have them in our offense. We just got to practice. When you're doing a large volume, you're not practicing the fundamentals as much as you should. You're practicing looks, and everybody has to get better fundamentally, pad level, all that kind of difference, protecting the quarterback at running back, all these type things. But I don't know that we can set back in the pocket for 29 plays like we did Saturday and expect. The plays are good. If you can't protect it, they're not. And so we've got to do some things there that can affect the way we win or lose.
Heard any feedback from players? Have you gotten any? And do you think maybe this will ease KJ's mind? Maybe there was too much on KJ's plate in his mind for how he operated?
Well, the system was really good. It was a really good system. And like I say, Dan's a really good football coach. We just didn't click in it. And, when he came from Maryland, they had great success over there in their offenses. But I do think that we've got to allow KJ to take some of the things off his plate that we were obviously trying to teach him for now and for his future. But we need to take those things off his plate because he's not playing fast and not playing, and he's not as accurate throwing the football as what he has been in the past. And some of those things have to be mentally, they have to be mental, and we've got to take some things off his plate as well.
What was Kenny's reaction? What are his strengths, maybe, do you think, as a communicator and play call? Will he work from the box, or do you know that yet?
Well, I don't know. We talked about it briefly, about that, the last part of it. I think he's more comfortable on the sideline. I said, well, we just better put up a hell of a game plan, and I'll be in each one of those meetings as well. And the defense, they're doing good without me. And so I always try to find different things to help the defense, but Trav and them can do that, and I'll just strictly stay on offense, see if we can't help that out a little bit more. But just briefly, the conversation, he felt more comfortable on the sideline. Well, I know he's been really good at handling his room, and that's a guy that's respected. He has a lot of motivation. He was excited when I talked to him about it. The guys in the room were excited for Kenny, and I thought about it a lot. Saturday night, which way I was going to go, how I was going to go, and things of that nature. And bringing somebody in from outside right now didn't make a lot of sense to me. Simply because, to me, that's more of giving up on the season. And this is not what we're doing. We're just trying to make a change, hopefully, and get our kids to play a little faster and tougher and things of that nature.
You talked about how KJ was dropping back a lot. And I was curious, with the scheme that Enos had, do you think that maybe that contributed to some of the offensive line issues this year?
Well, it's just like I told our offensive staff, with Dan not here anymore. That doesn't mean all of a sudden, all our answers are solved. Hell, we've got offensive line issues, back issues, running route issues, tight end issues. Dan took the brunt of it on that, but we all haven't been coaching as well as we have in the past. We haven't. And maybe it was, that you have to coach a little bit more than in a fast paced type. I don't know what the reason was. I wish I did. We'd had it fixed by now. But I do think, what was your question about dropping back?
I was just asking if you talked about dropping back, how you guys don't need
Yeah.
to be doing that as much.
Well, I mean, you 3rd and 10, you've got to do something. You know what I mean? But we wanted to move the pocket. We haven't. I mean, we haven't now. We did the other day down the goal line. We just missed it, to go up 7-0. But we've got to do more than say we're better than you and you can run every blitz you want to and our back will pick you up and all this kind of stuff. We can't do that. It looks good on paper. We just can't physically do that. So I think we threw 29 pocket passes on Saturday, and that number's got to be closer to 8 to 10. And we can still throw the football. We did under Browse's offense, but it wasn't the drop back. Here we are. This is the point. We just can't do it. We can't physically hold up right now. And honestly, we're getting so much blitz and twists and stuff. I don't know if a lot of people can, and especially our young tackles. We've known they're young as well, so we've got to protect them somehow. If you listen, we can sit here and say all we want about we don't have this player, this player, this player. They are who we have, and we're playing good enough defense to win football games, and we're not doing it. So we got to figure out how to score one more point than they did. And however ugly it is, it's ugly, but winning ain't ugly. This stuff we've been through is terrible.
Sam, looking ahead, just is this kind of serve these last 4 games as kind of like an audition for Coach Guiton to get the job beyond this year, or kind of do you open it up to the national search, or how does that look?
Well, obviously, since yesterday, I've gotten a ton of phone calls and all that kind of stuff. I don't have no time for that right now. We're trying to win some games. But obviously, if we have success, then that'll put Kenny's name right in that. And you want to, if you can, you want to stay in-house, especially because the portal and the relationship kids have and all that. This doesn't mean if Kenny goes to calling plays and it doesn't work out as well that he's not going to be our wide receiver coach. I'm not putting that on him. But obviously, if he does well, then we'll have to have that conversation. And I'd love to have that conversation.
You having just gone through this past offseason looking for a new offensive coordinator, I mean, were there guys you talked to this past cycle that you could reach out to again, or was it this past cycle just, you knew had the relationship with Dan and went with him and didn't really talk to anybody else?
No, I had talked to some because KB had a couple different jobs, so I had talked to some people. The thing about each and every year is different people come available after each year. Some guys might not have been available last year that I knew that might be available this year, depending on whether they're on a team that's fired or whether they're just decided, no last year might be yes now. So the greatest thing about me moving all over the world is I know a whole bunch of people, and so we'll see.
And you mentioned you've just got the guys that you have, and you do have some talent on offense, obviously. But what realistically do you think can improve before you play at Florida and in the remaining games?
Well, I think a lot of things can improve. I think we can run the ball better. I think if you look at Saturday, I think we had a couple of first downs right in a row, and we decided not to run it. And that's nothing. I'm not being negative. Look. The man got let go. He's a wonderful person and all that, but what's working, it's got to continue to be called and things of that nature. And sometimes nothing's working, so it's hard to call something too. But I think we can improve in our running game. I think we can move the pocket and do some things, and where we're not sitting back there all the time. I think obviously I've talked about 29 drop back passes in a game is hard to protect for us right now. So we can't do that. There could be some gap protections, or there could be some roll protections. There could be some nakeds, things that KJ can get out on the edge and have run and pass opportunities. There's just to me, he's not done a wonderful job either of protection or of setting in the pocket and throwing the football. And if that's the case, we can't keep beating a dead horse, and we have to do something different. And again, this is nothing negative about Dan at all. It's just something that we got to make a change somehow.
You mentioned earlier wanting to roll the pocket. You mentioned that when you talked to us previously, but you just didn't do it, I guess. What
Didn't
was
do
kind
it.
of the
We
hold
did it.
up?
We did it in practice. We just didn't do it.
Hold up. They're just not.
We didn't do it. We practiced it. We didn't do it. So I don't know what to say about that.
From best I can tell, Kenny's never called plays before. Am I right about that?
You're right.
And so, and I'm not saying he can't call plays, but what gives you confidence that he can step into the situation and start calling plays?
Well,
for
he
you?
knows the offense. I mean, obviously he's going to need some help probably in the run game, which his expertise would be the pass game as a wideout. Now, he's a very intelligent guy. Obviously, I felt like he knew both. Cody's in there and Morgan's in there. I'm in there for the run game and some things of that nature. But I think obviously I thought he was the most intelligent guy in the whole offensive package, and so that's why I went with him. But he's very intelligent, and you can tell that even in the last two yesterday and today's meeting, that I feel like he'll do a really good job.
It's 32, maybe 33. Do you think that youth might give since you told me will maybe inject some enthusiasm into the guys?
Well, I don't think it. I know what you're getting at, but I don't think age has nothing to do with it. To be perfectly honest with you, I think a guy's either a go-getting, encouraging type guy at whatever age, or I've seen some young guys that weren't, that are dead, deadbeats out there too. But I get what you're saying, that he has that personality, and I think it will resonate throughout the offense.
Rocket on the sideline. At least I saw photos of Rocket. Is he on the sideline, and is that a good sign? Maybe he's back in the fold, or kind of what's going on?
Well, he never left the fold. Rocket's getting rehab in Dallas, and he'll be back whenever he gets healthy. And but I don't know when that is.
What will you do within the next 11 days is to kind of best simulate a situation and kind of help Kenny get used to calling plays for the first time?
Well, we're going to have walkthroughs, which is going to give him opportunities to set a script, they're in there right now. They're going to have a report from me here when we get back about everything that we talked about this morning, and then they're going to head on to their Florida game plan with myself in there, and he'll have opportunities to call plays Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week.
Some of the things that you mentioned wanting to do, does that kind of take stress off your plate during the game to be able to make more game management type situations that you're not as worried about?
I got to be better at whatever my responsibilities are, and there's a bunch of them, no matter what the situation is. I'd lie to you if I told you that some of the things that were going on didn't affect me, but that's not an excuse. That's my job to, not have a field goal team out there and in time to kick the field goal. That's doesn't matter what's going on. That's unacceptable.
So you can't afford to look ahead with 4 games left. But when you look back a little bit to what the defense was last year, defense is kind of mirroring what your struggles with offense now.
Yeah.
And I mean, they played, as you said, damn good last week. How confident are you that you could take this offense and get it back to being formidable for the future next year, and similar what you did with the defense. And I mean, you had to change some coaches. You had 9 transfer additions that are making a big impact on defense.
Yeah, I think obviously, if you're a position coach, it's your job. It's ultimately mine for all that to happen. But if you're a position coach, it's your job to have good players. Now, I'm part of that, but I can remember when Kirby, I went to Georgia, Kirby said, "You're going to have to change your room." And I took it personally, and hell, everybody got drafted there. You know what I mean? Hell, when I was here before, they's going out left and right. And I'm just talking about the O-line because that was my position. But if you want to become a better coach, you got to change. You got to put competition in your room. That's number one. Number two, I think there's so many guys out there that would like to be a part of Arkansas that we can find, whether it's in-house where we're at now, or whether we go and look outside. We can find somebody that's damn good that wants to be at Arkansas. And I think in the quarterback room, because that's where it starts, we've got some really good players in the quarterback room. I love Criswell, and I think he's going to, he's really good. Malachi Singh. We got some guys that can win in the SEC, and that's where you kind of start. And then the rest of it, you go, okay, where are you going to go in the portal? Where are you going to go JUCO? Where we go in high school? Whatever that may be, to change our team next year, because that's how everybody's doing it, and I mean, I go back to Ole Miss, and you look at Ole Miss, and they've got a really good defense, which they hadn't had the previous 3 years. Now, I'm not saying that they were bad. I don't mean that. Hell, they won 10 games, so they were good, but they are physical and really good. And they went in the portal and they changed just as we did and changed us. So to get that, you got to coach better. You got to coach. We got to get some more players and things, but I'm real confident that we can get it back to what is respectable plus for the state of Arkansas. And to be honest with you, that's really all I'm worried about. I'm not worried about my job. I'm worried about the damn state of Arkansas and having them proud of our football team. And hell, I'm not right now, and I know they ain't, and I get it. But I'm the only one that can change it. So we're going to work like hell to get that done.
Talk about competition. Is that something right now with the coaching staff you feel like it's not just a players thing, but coaches are competing for their spots too right now? You feel like that's the case, Coach?
You mean to get fired or not? Or
No, that's not what I mean. Just in terms of showing you, like you said a moment ago, people want to be here. And so, or other people, you feel like internally too, people need to show you they want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole thing. I mean, I don't think that we were complacent. I just think the life was out of the building, and for whatever reason, and we not out of the building because it was on that side of the ball. We got to get it back.
Get in there. How's he coming along health wise, and how's Andrew? You said his back. Manual.
Oh, Deb.
Yeah.
He's been stinger free for last week, and then therefore, and of course Chamblee had a back issue, which I think he's going to be just fine. Dave really didn't even talk about it today, so I think he'll be fine. Obviously we had problems with that pick twist with the linebacker. That was the one that he had a problem with as well. But I thought that he played a lot better this week than whatever. I can't remember the last game that he was in. I thought he played better. I thought there was hope for him to keep taking a step forward there. You asked about somebody else. Was that it? Okay.
You told us on Saturday kind of the plan for the open date. Does it change at all with the change?
I don't think so, because I think if you really look at it, what is the change? Well, you're not changing offenses. Now you might, because Lord knows we had a lot of offense. You got to shrink it. In my opinion, we have to shrink it down and do a little good and let the playmakers make plays. So as long as we're having our meetings and we are having our walks, I can't punish the defensive side of the ball by saying, hey, let's go rock 'em, sock 'em robots this week because we're playing well. We need a healthy team. Number one, we need a healthy team to go out there. And what do we need? We need a coordinator who is able to feel good about calling plays, and we need a offensive team that feels good about the plays being called. And I think we can still do that in a regular format. I was going to tweak it a little bit, but I don't think so. I think we're in pretty good shape because nothing's really new. It's just not as much volume.
You mentioned being on the phone with recruits yesterday. Just how receptive were they? How did they respond?
Yeah, I thought it went well. That was part of our meeting with the offense yesterday about whom do we need to call? Who do I need to call? Who do we combo need to call? And make sure that we get it out before y'all did, or before we sent it out, just to make sure that everything's okay. And Dan was very well respected and liked by the kids and those things. And we want to make sure that it certainly was nothing personal and things of that nature. So we wanted to do it as right as we felt was. And I really didn't have a negative response from anybody, nor did the coaches.
It's also about maximizing what your talent is, because long question here.
That's what it is.
We saw in spring a lot of tunnels for Isaiah, a lot. Outbreaking routes for Tesla.
Yeah.
And he's making athletic catches on the sideline, and we just haven't seen a lot of that.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. But when you have a tremendous amount of volume, you really can't single in on people as much. You know what I mean? And so great analogy. I think that's exactly what it is.
Coach, I was just say, Coach, sort of building off of that, you've mentioned several times being involved in the meetings with Kenny. How much are you looking to have a hand in the game plan, or are you just sort of there supervising what he's doing?
All of it. I mean, it's my butt on the line, it's all of us, I don't worry so much about losing my job. I worry so much about losing the building's job. We got buyouts and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to buy out. I want to win. And so I'm not saying I'm the know-all answer guy, but I damn sure need to get involved more. And that's what I'm going to do.
Coach, quickly, is Kenny taking over Dan's role as quarterback's coach
Yes.
as well?
Yeah. Kenny played at Ohio State, quarterback. And I just thought that was the best transition we could make without saying we're giving up on the season. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you can bring some analysts from over here, but you're giving up. And I think our team, we got a pretty good football team. And I know we've lost 6 in a row, but it's not been 40-12 and all this kind of stuff. We just got to figure out how to play good team football. And that's what we decided to do. And with him.
You mentioned challenging the offensive side of the ball to bring more energy, to be more competitive. What do you need to see from Kenny, from the entire offensive staff, to bring it to where the defense is right now?
It's enthusiasm, accountability. I mean, there's a difference. In other words, how do you hold somebody accountable for what they do? Well, our strength staff, they hold them accountable, and it's a positive deal, but they're accountable. Our defensive staff, they're as enthusiastic as you're going to find, but them kids are accountable. You know what I mean? There's a difference. My style is more of a positive approach with accountability. And we cannot beat these kids down. We cannot. We'll never get them back. And so, but you can't turn the other way either. So it's accountability in everything they do, class, all these things. Can't lose our core values. It worked before. It can work again. It has to work again. But it's enthusiasm and accountability, and you can do both together, and that's what I want out of the offensive staff as well.
Yeah, Sam, was this move with Dan something you'd been thinking about? Like, I might have to do this if things don't get better. And then the open date obviously gives you extra time, or was it just yesterday? It was just the last straw.
I don't think anybody, Bob, to be honest, I don't think anybody makes decisions like that just, after we scored 3 points. You know what I mean? I think you're thinking about it. And a lot of things go into that. A lot of things, conversations, communication, a lot of things go on that other than this, we scored 3 points, so, you never want to do that because, you're saying really, well, he's the problem. That's not the case. We've got a lot of things we need to fix, but I felt like this is the best way for us to win games. And so, yeah, it didn't just come across my mind on Saturday.
You've been doing this a long time. Dan's been doing it a long time. You've been fired. He's been fired.
That's
You've
right.
had great years. Just how'd that all go down? What was it like having that conversation, I guess?
He's a professional man, a good man, and obviously nobody wants to do that. You don't want to do that, but for the best of the team and the program, obviously I thought that was it, but he handled it professionally. He's a good person. He's a good football coach. It just didn't work out here.
Okay.